Jake Morrison opened his eyes slowly. The world around him was cold and dark. His body felt heavy and strange, like he had been sleeping for a very long time. White mist came from his mouth as he breathed. The air was freezing cold. He tried to move his fingers. They were stiff and hard to bend. His legs felt like blocks of ice. Jake knew this feeling. He had been in the long sleep again. The cryo-sleep that kept humans alive for hundreds of years. The pod around him made a soft hissing sound. Warm air started to flow over his body. Slowly, Jake began to feel normal again. He pushed the glass cover of his sleeping pod. It opened. With a quiet click, Jake sat up and looked around. He was in a huge room filled with thousands of sleeping pods. Each pod had a person inside. Men and women floated in blue liquid, their eyes closed, their faces peaceful. They had been sleeping for a very long time. Numbers glowed on a screen near his pod. Jake read them carefully. The date made his heart beat faster. 5,000 years. He had been asleep for 5,000 years. Jake stood up on shaky legs. His uniform was old but still good. On his chest was a patch that said, Eternal Watch, Commander Morrison. He was one of the Watchers, people chosen to wake up every 100 years to check on things. The space station was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Jake walked down the long halls between the sleeping pods. His footsteps echoed in the empty space. Red lights blinked on the walls, showing that everything was working fine. He found his way to the command center. The room was full of screens and buttons. Most of the screens were dark, but some showed information about the space station. Jake sat down in the captain's chair and turned on the main computer. The computer's voice was calm and friendly. Good morning, Commander Morrison. You have been in cryosleep for 100 years. Station status is normal. Earth recovery is proceeding as planned. Jake looked at the big screen that showed space outside. The stars looked the same as always, but something was different. There were lights moving between the planets. Lights that should not be there. Computer, show me the solar system scan, Jake said. The screen changed to show the sun and all the planets. Earth looked brown and sick, but it was getting better. Plants were growing again after the Great War that happened long ago. But Jake saw other things too. Strange objects near Jupiter and Saturn. Ships that were not human ships. Jake's hands shook as he typed commands into the computer. He made the scanner look closer at the strange ships. They were huge and made of metal he did not recognize. The ships were taking rocks and ice from the moons of Jupiter. Computer, are those our ships? Jake asked. Negative, Commander. Unknown. Vessel signatures. No match in human database. Jake felt cold inside his chest. While humans slept, someone else had come to their solar system. Aliens were here, taking things from human planets. He walked to another part of the command center and woke up the long-distance scanner. This machine could see far into space to other star systems. What Jake saw made him sit down hard in his chair. The galaxy was full of alien ships. Everywhere Jake looked, he saw space stations and fleets that were not human. The aliens had huge cities floating in space. They had taken over star systems that used to belong to humans. Jake pressed a button to wake up Amy Carter. She was another watcher, someone he could trust. Her sleeping pod was in a different part of the station. It would take 30 minutes for her to wake up fully. While he waited, Jake looked at old computer files. Before the long sleep, humans had been the strongest people in the galaxy. They had the biggest ships and the best weapons. Other alien species were afraid of humans. But then humans had a terrible war with each other. They used weapons so powerful that they destroyed their own planet. The air became poison and the water became dangerous. Most humans died in the war. Survivors built this space station and went into the long sleep. They waited for Earth to heal itself. Machines worked for thousands of years to clean the air and water. Slowly, Earth was getting better. But now Jake saw that while humans slept, the galaxy had changed. The aliens were not afraid anymore. They moved around space like they owned everything. Amy Carter came into the command center. Her face was pale, and her hair was messy from the long sleep. She looked at the screens and her eyes grew wide. "Jake, what are those ships?" she asked. "Aliens," Jake said. "They have been here for a long time. Look at this." He showed her the scans of the galaxy. Amy sat down next to him and stared at the pictures. Alien cities, alien fleets, alien mining operations. Everything that used to be human space was now controlled by strangers. "How many of them are there?" Amy asked. Jake pointed to different parts of the galaxy map. 5 different kinds of aliens. They work together. They have divided up all the star systems between them. Amy looked at the scan of their own solar system. The alien ships near Jupiter were getting closer to the inner planets. Soon they might find Earth and the human space station. "What do we do?" she asked. Jake looked at the thousands of sleeping humans around them. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, and pilots. All the people needed to rebuild human civilization, but they were still sleeping, and the aliens did not know they existed. Jake made a decision that would change everything. He walked to a special control panel that had been locked for 5,000 years. His hand shook as he entered his commander. "Codes." "Jake, what are you doing?" Amy asked. "I am waking them up," Jake said. "All of them?" The computer asked him 3 times if he was sure. Jake said yes each time. Red lights started flashing all over the station. Deep in the walls, machines began to hum louder. In the sleeping chambers, pods began to warm up. The blue liquid started to drain away. Soon, thousands of humans who had slept for 5,000 years would open their eyes. Jake looked out at the alien ships one more time. They moved slowly around Jupiter, taking what they wanted. They thought the solar system was empty and safe. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The humans were waking up and they would not be happy about what they found. Captain Roy Henderson woke up with a sharp pain in his head. The sleeping drugs always made him feel sick. He sat up in his pod and looked around. Other people were waking up too. Some were coughing. Others were trying to stand on weak legs. Roy had been asleep for 5,000 years. He was the captain of this space station, but Jake Morrison was the watch commander. Jake had the power to wake everyone up in an emergency. Roy walked to the command center. His legs felt better with each step. Jake and Amy were there, looking at screens full of alien ships. "Report, Commander," Roy said. Jake turned around. His face was serious and worried. "Captain, we have a big problem. The galaxy is full of aliens. They think we are all dead." Roy looked at the screens. He saw huge alien ships taking ice and rocks from the moons near Jupiter. Other screens showed alien cities in space far away from Earth. "How long have they been here?" Roy asked. "We think about 4,000 years, Amy said. "They moved in after we went to sleep." Roy sat down and studied the information. The aliens had 5 different groups working together. They called themselves the Galactic Prosperity Coalition. Each group controlled different parts of the galaxy. The first group was called the HFY. They were the soldiers and police of the coalition. Their ships were big and covered with weapons. They kept order and fought wars for the other aliens. The second group was the Zephyrians. They were builders and miners. They made machines and dug up metals from planets and moons. Their ships were ugly but strong. The third group was the Mindari. They could read thoughts and speak without words. They were the diplomats and judges of the coalition. Other aliens trusted them to be fair. The fourth group was the Oceanic Collective. They lived in water and came from ocean planets. They grew food and made medicine for the coalition. The last group was the Hive Clusters. They were like giant insects that worked together. Millions of them lived in huge ships. They did jobs that needed many workers. Lisa Brooks came into the command center. She was the chief engineer of the station. Her job was to fix machines and keep everything working. "Captain, I have been checking our systems," Lisa said. "Most things still work fine. The weapons are old, but they still have power. Our shields are weak, but I can fix them." Roy nodded. "Good. What about our other stations?" Lisa smiled a little. "That is the interesting part. We have more than just this station. There are military bases hidden all over the solar system. They have been sleeping too, but they are waking up now. Roy felt hope for the first time since waking up. Humans had always been good at war. Before the long sleep, human fleets had conquered many star systems. Other aliens had been afraid of human weapons. Ben Matthews came in next. He was an intelligence officer who studied enemy information. His job was to listen to alien messages and learn their secrets. "I have been listening to the alien radio signals," Ben said. "They talk about humans like we are all dead. They call us the failed, aggressive species that destroyed ourselves." "What else do they say?" Roy asked. Ben looked at his notes. "They think humans were too violent and stupid. They say we could not control our anger, so we killed each other. They use us as an example of what not to do." Roy felt angry, but he stayed calm. The aliens thought humans were gone forever. That could be useful. "They don't know we are still alive?" Roy asked. "No, sir. They think this solar system is empty. They marked it as a dead zone on their maps." Amy pointed to the screen showing alien ships near Jupiter. "But they are mining our system now. They think they can take whatever they want." Roy watched the alien ships work. They were slow and careful. They did not expect any trouble. These aliens had never fought humans before. Lisa spoke up again. "Captain, I found something else. Our probe network is still working. We have spy cameras in many star systems. I can show you what the aliens built." The screen changed to show a planet near the star called Proxima Centauri. This used to be the first human colony outside the solar system. Now it looked completely different. Where human cities used to be, there were alien factories. The Zephyrians had built huge machines all over the planet. They were making ships and weapons. Nothing was left of the human colony. "They built on our graves," Amy said quietly. Roy felt cold anger in his chest. The aliens had not just taken human space. They had erased all signs that humans ever existed. Steve Collins came into the command center. He was the tactical officer, the person who planned battles and studied enemy weapons. "Captain, I have been looking at the alien ships," Steve said. "Their technology is good but not amazing. They have energy shields and plasma weapons. Their ships are fast." "Can we fight them?" Roy asked. Steve looked at his computer. "Their individual ships might be stronger than ours, but we have advantages they don't know about. Our weapons work differently than theirs. They have never seen human military technology." Roy walked to the big window that looked out at space. Earth was far below, still brown and healing from the ancient war. In the distance, alien ships moved between the planets like they owned everything. Ben brought more information from the alien radio signals. "Sir, I intercepted a message from their high command. They are planning to send a big exploration fleet to our solar system. They want to set up permanent bases here." "When?" Roy asked. "Soon. Maybe a few days." Roy made his decision. The aliens thought humans were dead and gone. They were about to learn the truth. But first, humans needed to be ready. "Lisa, I want all. Our hidden base is active within 24 hours, Roy ordered. "Steve, prepare battle plans for defending the solar system. Ben, keep listening to their communications." Jake nodded with approval. "What about the aliens coming here?" Roy smiled for the first time since waking up. It was not a friendly smile. "We will welcome them properly. It has been 5,000 years since anyone saw what humans can do in a real fight." The command center became busy as everyone worked. Outside the windows, alien ships continued their slow work, not knowing that the galaxy's most dangerous species was waking up all around them. Deep in hidden bases throughout the solar system, human soldiers and pilots were opening their eyes after 5,000 years of sleep. Soon the aliens would discover that reports of humanity's death had been greatly exaggerated. Admiral Zethnok stood on the bridge of his warship and looked at the strange readings on his scanner. His ship was part of a big Kethvar exploration fleet. They had come to the Sol system to claim it for the Coalition. The scanner showed something impossible. There was a huge space station near the outer planets. It was full of life signs, thousands of them. "Commander Vextar explained this," Zethnok said to his security chief. Vextar looked worried. Admiral, the readings show humans, but that cannot be right. Humans have been extinct for thousands of years. Zethnok had read the old reports. Humans had been the strongest warriors in the galaxy long ago. They had conquered many worlds before they destroyed themselves in a great war. Everyone knew the story. Send a scout ship to investigate, Zethnok ordered. On the human space station, Captain Roy Henderson watched the alien scout ship approach. It was sleek and gray, with weapons that glowed blue. The ship moved carefully, like it was afraid of what it might find. They know we are here, Amy Carter said. She was watching the scanner readings. Roy nodded. Rachel, open a communication channel. Rachel Stone was the communications officer. She had been working hard to learn the alien languages from their radio signals. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls. Channel open, Captain, Rachel said. Roy took a deep breath. This would be the first time humans and aliens had talked in 5,000 years. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Roy Henderson of the human space station Eternal Watch. Please identify yourself. There was a long silence. Then a rough voice answered in broken human language. This is impossible. Humans are extinct. You cannot be real. We are very real, Roy said calmly. Who are you and what are you doing in our solar system? Another long pause. Then the alien voice came back, stronger now. I am Admiral Zethnok of the Kethvar military. We are part of the Galactic Prosperity Coalition. We thought this system was empty. Roy looked at his crew. Jake Morrison nodded encouragement. They had agreed to act weak and peaceful at first. We have been in hibernation for a long time, Roy said. We are just waking up now. We would like to learn about this coalition. Within hours, the alien fleet surrounded the human station. Roy counted 50 warships, all bigger than anything humans had built before the long sleep. But Lisa Brooks had found something interesting in the human database. These alien ships had weaknesses. Admiral Zethnok came aboard the human station with a small group of alien delegates. Roy met them in the main conference room. It was the first time he had seen aliens in person. Zethnok was tall and covered in dark scales. His eyes were yellow and his teeth were sharp. He moved like a soldier, confident and dangerous. With him came other aliens from the coalition. There was a Zephyrian named Groktal, who looked like a big gray rock with arms. A Mindari called Whisper of Stars had pale blue skin and huge black eyes. The Oceanic Collective sent someone who wore a water suit and breathed through tubes. You, humans have been hiding here for how long? Zethnok asked. 5,000 years, Roy answered. We have been sleeping while our planet healed from our old wars. The aliens looked at each other. Whisper of Stars spoke in a voice like singing. We thought your species had destroyed itself completely. The old record said humans were too violent to survive. Roy tried to look embarrassed. We learned from our mistakes. We want to live in peace now. Dr. Patricia Wells joined the meeting. She was the station's scientist who studied alien life. She had been examining the alien visitors carefully. Your coalition sounds wonderful, Patricia said in a friendly voice. We would like to learn how to join. Zethnok relaxed a little. The coalition brings prosperity to all species. We work together. Everyone contributes their strengths. Groktal spoke in a voice like grinding stones. Zephyrians build and mine. Kethvar provides security. Mindari handle diplomacy. Everyone has a place. What would humans contribute? Roy asked. The aliens looked uncomfortable. Finally, Whisper of Stars answered. Humans would be junior members at first. You have been isolated for so long. You need time to catch up with galactic civilization. Roy felt anger, but he hid it well. The aliens thought humans were weak and backward. They wanted to treat Earth like a primitive world that needed their help. We understand, Roy said. Perhaps you could show us your technology. We are very interested in learning. The aliens agreed to give tours of their ships. Roy sent teams of humans to study alien technology. Jake Morrison went with the military officers. Lisa Brooks went with the engineers. Ben Matthews went to study their communications. What the humans learned was very important. The alien technology was advanced but predictable. Their shields worked by deflecting energy. Their weapons shot hot plasma. Their computers were fast, but simple. Most importantly, the aliens had never seen human technology. They had no idea what human weapons could do. But problems started when the aliens wanted to tour the human station. Security Chief Vextar found the human weapon storage areas. His scanner detected thousands of guns, missiles, and energy weapons. "Why do you have so many weapons?" Vextar demanded. Roy tried to stay calm. "For defense. Space can be dangerous." But Vextar was suspicious. He had studied the human weapons with his scanner. They were more advanced than anything the Coalition had. "These weapons are military grade," Vextar said. "Why does a peaceful species need such powerful armaments?" Admiral Zethnok was called to the weapons storage area. When he saw the human arsenal, his yellow eyes grew wide. Row after row of weapons that could destroy entire fleets. "Explain this," Zethnok ordered. Roy knew the peaceful act was over. "These weapons are for our protection." "Protection from what?" Zethnok asked. "The Coalition maintains peace in the galaxy. No one needs weapons like these." Dr. Patricia Wells stepped forward. "Admiral, humans have always been good at making weapons. It is part of our nature." Zethnok looked at her with new understanding. The old stories about humans were true. They were still a warrior species. "You will surrender these weapons immediately," Zethnok said. "The Coalition cannot allow such dangerous armaments in the hands of an unproven species." Roy straightened up. "We will not surrender our weapons." The conference room became very quiet. The aliens stared at Roy in shock. No species had ever refused a Coalition order. "You do not understand," Zethnok said slowly. "This is not a request, it is a requirement for joining the Coalition." "Then perhaps we do not want to join your Coalition," Roy replied. Vextar put his hand on his weapon. "Admiral, they are refusing to cooperate. This could be dangerous." Zethnok nodded grimly. "Captain Henderson, you have 24 standard hours to surrender all weapons. If you refuse, we will take them by force." Roy smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "Admiral, I think you should reconsider." "Are you threatening us?" Zethnok asked. "No," Roy said quietly. "I am warning you. You have no idea what you are dealing with." The aliens left the station angry and confused. They had expected to find grateful primitives who would happily join their Coalition. Instead, they had found humans who acted like equals. Back on his ship, Admiral Zethnok called for reinforcements. He was beginning to suspect that the old stories about humans were not just legends. On the human station, Captain Roy Henderson called a meeting of his senior staff. "Gentlemen and ladies," he said, "I think it is time to show our guests what humans are really capable of." Captain Roy Henderson walked to the center of the command room. His officers stood around him waiting for orders. The alien ultimatum was clear. Surrender all weapons in 24 hours or face attack. Roy looked at each person in the room. These were the best humans had to offer: soldiers, scientists, and engineers who had slept for 5,000 years. Now they faced the biggest decision in human history. "Computer, activate Protocol Omega," Roy said in a clear voice. The computer asked for confirmation 3 times. Each time, Roy said yes. Red lights began flashing throughout the station. Deep alarms sounded in the walls. Jake Morrison knew what Protocol Omega meant. It was the signal to wake up all of humanity's sleeping military forces, forces that had been hidden throughout the solar system for 5,000 years. "Sir, are you sure?" Jake asked. Roy nodded. "The aliens want to see what humans are capable of. Let's show them." The signal went out to every corner of the solar system. Radio waves carried the wake-up command to dozens of hidden bases. Military installations that had been disguised as asteroids and dead moons began to come alive. On Mars, deep under the giant mountain called Olympus Mons, Colonel Danny Pierce opened his eyes. Around him, 10,000 Marines were waking up from their long sleep. They had been the best soldiers in the human military before the Great War. Danny sat up and checked his equipment. His armor still worked perfectly. His weapons were clean and ready. The automated systems had maintained everything during the long sleep. "Attention all Marines," Danny spoke into his communicator. "This is Colonel Pierce. We are awake and we have work to do." Near Jupiter, Admiral Helen Ross woke up inside a massive battleship. Her ship was hidden inside an asteroid field, disguised as Space Orcs. But now the disguise was falling away. The battleship was 3 kilometers long and covered with weapons. It had been built to fight entire alien fleets by itself. Helen had commanded ships like this during humanity's golden age of conquest. "All hands battle stations," Helen ordered. "Begin fleet activation sequence." Around Jupiter, more ships began to reveal themselves. Destroyers, cruisers, and dreadnoughts that had slept in the cold of space. Their engines came online with bright, blue flames. Their weapon systems charged with deadly energy. In the asteroid belt, Captain Kevin Walsh commanded a mining operation that was not what it seemed. The mining ships looked old and peaceful, but they were really mobile weapon platforms, in disguise. "Begin transformation sequence," Kevin ordered. The mining ships changed shape. Hidden gun turrets rose from their hulls. Missile bays opened like metal flowers. In minutes, the peaceful miners became deadly warships. Back on the space station, Lisa Brooks watched her instruments with excitement. All over the solar system, human bases were coming online. The readings showed more military power than the Coalition had ever seen. "Captain, we have 57 military installations active," Lisa reported. "Fleet strength is at 40% and rising." Admiral Zethnok watched from his ship as the human solar system transformed before his eyes. His scanners showed weapons appearing everywhere. Ships that had been hidden for thousands of years were revealing themselves. "This is impossible," Vextar said. "Where did all these ships come from?" Zethnok studied the readings. The human fleet was smaller than a full Coalition armada, but their technology was completely unknown. His computers could not identify most of the human weapons. "Send a message to Coalition High Command," Zethnok ordered. "Tell them we need immediate reinforcements." But when they tried to send the message, nothing happened. The communication systems were not working. "Admiral, we are being jammed," the communications officer reported. "All our signals are being blocked." On the human station, Ben Matthews smiled as he watched his electronic warfare systems work. The alien ships could not call for help. They could not even talk to each other properly. "Sir, the alien fleet is completely cut off," Ben reported to Captain Henderson. Roy nodded with satisfaction. "Good. Now let's have a proper conversation with Admiral Zethnok." Dr. Patricia Wells stood beside Roy as he prepared to speak to the aliens. She had been studying the Coalition species for hours. Now she understood their weaknesses. "Admiral Zethnok," Roy said over the radio. "This is Captain Henderson. I believe we need to discuss your ultimatum." The alien admiral's voice was angry and worried. "What is the meaning of this display? Where did these ships come from?" "These ships have always been here," Patricia answered calmly. "You just could not see them before." "That is impossible." "Our scanners would have detected them." Patricia smiled coldly. "Your scanners only look for technology, you understand. Human stealth systems are 5,000 years more advanced than anything in your database." Admiral Zethnok was beginning to understand. The humans had not been hiding because they were weak. They had been hiding because they were dangerous. "The old records," Zethnok said quietly. "The stories about human military power. They were all true." "Every word," Roy confirmed. "Humans did not disappear because we were conquered. We disappeared because we chose to leave. We became too dangerous for our own good." On Mars, Colonel Danny Pierce led his Marines to the surface. They wore powered armor that made them strong and fast. Their weapons could cut through alien ship hulls like paper. "Marines, remember your training," Danny said. "We are the best soldiers in the galaxy. Time to prove it." Near Jupiter, Admiral Helen Ross prepared her battle fleet for combat. Her ships had weapons the Coalition had never seen. Quantum torpedoes that could pass through shields. Gravity cannons that crushed enemy vessels. Kinetic bombardment systems that turned asteroids into planet-killing missiles. "All ships prepare for battle," Helen ordered. Target the alien fleet but do not fire unless fired upon. The human ships moved into attack formation. They were outnumbered by the coalition fleet, but their technology was far superior. Each human ship could fight 10 alien vessels and win. Captain Kevin Walsh positioned his disguised warships around the alien fleet. They looked like harmless mining ships, but they carried enough firepower to destroy space stations. All units. We have the aliens surrounded, Kevin reported, awaiting orders. On the space station, Captain Roy Henderson prepared to deliver humanity's message to the galaxy. This would be the first time humans had spoken to the wider universe in 5,000 years. Open a channel to all coalition frequencies, Roy ordered. Rachel Stone worked her controls. Channel open, Captain. The entire coalition can hear us. Roy took a deep breath. What he said next would change galactic history. Attention, Galactic Prosperity Coalition. This is Captain Roy Henderson of the human species. We have returned. Across coalition space, alien leaders stopped what they were doing to listen. The name human had not been heard in thousands of years. For 5 millennia you have enjoyed peace and prosperity, Roy continued. You divided our galaxy among yourselves. You built on the graves of our colonies. You thought we were extinct. The coalition leaders felt fear growing in their hearts. The old stories were true. Humans were alive. We withdrew from the galaxy not because we were weak, but because we were too strong. We destroyed our own world to contain our destructive power. We chose exile over conquest. Admiral Zethnok realized the terrible truth. His fleet was trapped in a solar system full of the galaxy's most dangerous predators. But now you have awakened us, Roy said, his voice growing cold. You have violated our space and threatened our people. The beast that once ruled the galaxy is stirring from its sleep. Roy looked out at the alien ships surrounded by human weapons. We remember what we were. We remember what this galaxy took from us. And we remember why other species once feared to speak our name. The message ended. Across the galaxy, coalition leaders stared at their screens in terror. Humanity had returned, and they were no longer the sleeping giants of legend. They were awake, they were angry, and they wanted their galaxy back. The news of humanity's return spread across coalition space faster than light itself. On every coalition world, emergency meetings were called. Ancient computer files were opened for the first time in thousands of years. President Veltar of the Zephyrian Republic stood in his council chamber, reading old reports about human military campaigns. The documents were marked with the highest security codes. They told stories of entire star systems conquered in days, of alien fleets destroyed without firing a single shot back. Are these reports accurate? Veltar asked his advisors. Chief Archivist Morden nodded slowly. Every word, President. Humans were the apex predators of the galaxy. We celebrated when they vanished 5,000 years ago. Similar scenes played out across coalition space. The Mindari Council of Thought shared memories of ancient terror. The Oceanic Collective recalled stories passed down through generations. The hive clusters accessed databanks that had been sealed for millennia. All the records said the same thing. Humans were not just another species. They were the species that other aliens had nightmares about. In the Sol system, Captain Roy Henderson waited for the coalition's response. Around him, human military power was fully awake for the first time in 5,000 years. Admiral Helen Ross had brought her battle fleet into formation around Earth. 50 massive warships that gleamed with deadly beauty. Each ship carried weapons that could crack planets and shields that could stop suns. Captain Henderson, Helen said over the radio, my fleet is ready for battle. What are your orders? Roy looked at the coalition ships still trapped in the solar system. Admiral Zethnok had not moved his fleet. They sat in space like frightened animals, afraid to run and afraid to fight. Hold position, Admiral Ross, Roy replied. Let's see if the coalition wants to talk or fight. On Mars, Colonel Danny Pierce had his Marines ready for ground combat, but he hoped it would not come to that. Human Marines were trained to take entire planets with just a few thousand soldiers. In the asteroid belt, Captain Kevin Walsh kept his disguised warships in position. The coalition fleet was completely surrounded. If they tried to escape, they would fly directly into human weapons. The Coalition High Council met in emergency session on the neutral world of Haven's Rest. Representatives from all 5 species argued about what to do. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to negotiate. All were afraid. "We have 2 million ships in the Coalition Navy," declared General Coxra of the Kethvar. "Surely we can defeat 1 human fleet." Elder Whisper of Dreams from the Mindari Council disagreed. "The old memories speak truth. Human technology is beyond our understanding. They do not fight wars. They end them." The Oceanic Collective's Speaker for the Depths added his voice. "My people remember the Great Silence, when humans conquered the tidal worlds in a single day. Millions of our kind died without understanding how." The Hive Queen's daughter spoke for the clusters. "Our ancestors faced human soldiers once. 100,000 hive warriors against 50 human marines. The humans won without losing a single fighter." President Veltar of the Zephyrians was the voice of reason. "We need to consider our options carefully. If we fight and lose, civilization itself could end. But if we negotiate, we might find a peaceful solution." While the Coalition argued, other species throughout the galaxy watched with interest. Many remembered humanity's protection in the old days. Small species that had been safe under human rule now lived in fear of Coalition expansion. The Altarian Federation sent a secret message to the human fleet. "We remember the human protectorate. If you need allies, we stand ready." Similar messages came from dozens of minor species. The Coalition had not been as kind as they claimed. Many worlds missed the stability of human rule. Major Emma Rodriguez led the first human diplomatic mission to leave the Sol system in 5,000 years. Her ship was small but fast, designed to show human technology without being threatening. She arrived at the Coalition capital of Haven's Rest under a flag of truce. The aliens who met her were nervous and scared. They had never seen a human before, but they knew the legends. "I am Major Rodriguez, representing the human government," Emma said to the Coalition Council. "We are here to discuss the future of the galaxy." The council chamber was huge, built to hold representatives from 5 different species. Emma stood alone in the center, but she did not look afraid. President Veltar spoke first. "Major Rodriguez, the Coalition offers humanity full partnership in galactic governance, equal status with all member species." Emma smiled politely. "That is generous, President Veltar. But humanity was not asking for partnership. We were stating our terms for peace." The aliens looked confused. General Coxra leaned forward. "What? Terms?" "Simple terms," Emma replied. "All former human territories will be returned to human control. The Coalition will pay reparations for 5,000 years of occupation. Mining operations in the Sol system will cease immediately." The council chamber erupted in angry voices. The aliens could not believe what they were hearing. "Those terms are impossible," General Coxra shouted. "We have lived in those systems for thousands of years. They are our homes now." Emma's expression did not change. "General, I am not here to negotiate. I am here to deliver humanity's decision. You have 7 days to begin withdrawal from human space." Elder Whisper of Dreams spoke softly. "And if we refuse?" Emma looked directly at the Mindari Elder. "Then the galaxy will remember why your species used to have nightmares about humans." Back in the Sol system, Admiral Zethnok received new orders from Coalition High Command. A massive fleet was coming to reinforce him. 2,000 Coalition warships against 50 human vessels. But Zethnok had been studying human capabilities. He had seen their stealth technology, their electronic warfare systems, and their impossible weapons. He was beginning to understand that numbers might not matter. Captain Roy Henderson received reports from across the galaxy. Coalition fleets were moving toward human space. It looked like the aliens had chosen war over peace. "Sir," Jake Morrison said, "long-range scanners show Coalition reinforcements arriving in 6 hours. We'll be outnumbered 40-1. Roy nodded calmly. "Jake, do you know why humanity left the galaxy 5,000 years ago?" "Because we were too destructive, sir. Exactly. We became so good at war that we scared ourselves. We could have conquered the entire galaxy, but we chose to leave instead. Roy looked out at Earth, still healing from ancient wounds. The Coalition is about to learn why we made that choice. The Coalition reinforcement fleet arrived expecting to find human ships fleeing, in terror. Instead, they found the human fleet waiting in perfect battle formation. 50 ships against 2,000, but the humans did not retreat. Admiral Zethnok opened communications with the human fleet. Captain Henderson, you are vastly outnumbered. Surrender now, and we will show mercy. Roy's reply was calm and confident. Admiral, you are making a mistake, but since you insist on learning the hard way, let me show you something. The human fleet activated systems the Coalition had never seen before. Space around Earth began to shimmer and bend. Hidden weapons platforms emerged from hyperspace. Automated defense systems that had been sleeping for millennia came online. Here, Coalition fleet found themselves facing not 50 human ships, but 500, and every human vessel carried weapons that defied known physics. This is impossible, Admiral Zethnok whispered. Admiral, Roy said gently, this is why the galaxy feared us. This is why we chose exile over conquest. We are very, very good at war. The Coalition fleet fled without firing a shot. They had seen enough to know that fighting humanity would be suicide. Within a week, Coalition forces began withdrawing from former human territories. The aliens had remembered why they had celebrated humanity's disappearance 5,000 years ago. Captain Roy Henderson stood on the observation deck of his station, watching human ships depart for distant stars. Earth was healing. Humanity was awakening. And the galaxy was learning to fear the human name once again. But this time would be different. Humanity had learned wisdom during their long sleep. They would be strong, but they would also be careful. The beast was awake, but it was a wiser beast than before. The galaxy was big enough for everyone as long as everyone remembered their place in it.